Howdy guys, and welcome to this short introduction video of how to play Duel Commander on Cockatrice. So the first thing you need to do, if you haven't created an account yet, downloading Cockatrice of course. I will link you the software in the description. You click on Cockatrice, register to server, and then they will pop up this window. The presettings are already fine. You just enter your nickname, the password again, and your email address twice. You can choose the country you're from, but yeah, I choose to not select it, and real name is not necessary as well. So once you entered all this data, you click on OK. You will receive an email which you need to confirm later on. Then we click on connect or Control and L. You should go for the Rooster Rangers server, it's the biggest one. Presettings are already fine as well. Enter your player name and your password. Save password for easier login, and you click on connect. So now several windows will open. You have the server, account, deck storage, gameplays, and the magic tab. On account you see your friends. Here are the decks that you recently played. Those are some gameplays you joined, spectated, or played by yourself. And the magic tab is where the actual magic happens. So here you will play the games, but first we need to go for deck editor and load a deck. I'm using this text version here already, so you can just get a deck from deck stats, tapped out, whatever, download it as a deck file or a text file, and then you can either load deck from clipboard if you're copy pasting the text file, or you just insert or load your deck here inside Cockatrice. Sometimes you have to make some adjustments because your commander, for example, in deck stats is shown with a hashtag and commander, and this program is not verifying it as any card, so you need to delete it. Let's delete those commanders and search them again. And then you click here on the blue arrow for add to sideboard, and you do the same for Ludovic, which is here in my case actually. And now you can just save the deck or save as any other name. So now we can go over to the magic tab, and I will create a game. Let's call it example. I will just play by myself. You can select the format you're playing. This time it will be Commander. You can tick remember settings. And you can make some more adjustments if you want to have spectators, or if only buddies can join your match. The buddies are shown here on account. You can also set a password if you want to. And we click for OK. Now we have this black screen. Here are the players shown you are playing with. This is your chat. And we're going to load a deck. Now all the cards are shown. If it's not showing any pictures, you have to go for Cockatrice, check for card updates. Usually at the first installation it should do it on its own, I guess. Anyways, you just click through it here, you can select the language. Next, this is your Oracle importer, so it will get all the pictures for the cards from a database. You don't need to change any settings, just go for next, and it will download and update your pictures. So this can take some time, but approximately 2 to 3 minutes. Now it's asking me if I want to import 20,594 cards. Sure, click for save. And then it's importing the tokens, which is quite fast this time. So you click finish, and now you can click on ready to start, and there will be a check mark since I'm playing versus myself. Now it's saying that there are 4 new sets found, and it asked me if I want to activate them. Sure, I want to. So now I can go for ready to start. Great. So here you can see your battlefield. This one is your stack, this is your hand, and this is the field you can lay down the lands and creatures or any other permanents. We click for sideboard. I usually do this to separate my commanders, and I drag them out, and since there is no command zone here on Cockatrice, usually players tend to put it on the stack. Here are the steps you need to go through manually to indicate in which step you are currently. Once you finish a turn, you click on the end step button and your opponent can pass the turn then. So here I put down some useful commands. To shuffle your library, you use Control S. It will show you here, shuffle the library. And then we want to start by drawing our hand. We can do that with Control M to draw 7 cards, or I just put them back on the library. I can also press Control E to draw X cards, and I tell him to draw 7 cards. So here's my starting hand. If I'm not convinced, I can press Control M again to draw another hand. This is my mulligan, and then I will just choose any card and I right click, move to. So if you can see, you can move it here to any zone. This one here is your exile, this one is your graveyard. We want to move it to the bottom of your library, and then we have our starting hand. We want to roll a die with Control I to see who's going to start. Then you can also draw a card by double clicking this area, and if you drew a card accidentally, you can go over the library and undo last draw. I would recommend you to use Control and D, since this one here can escalate quite often, or quite quickly. So permanently revealing your top card can be done via your selection here. So you can generally, by right clicking, you get this settings, and you can do a lot of stuff. You can draw a card via the selection, but it's pretty slow, so I would not suggest it. Undo your last draw. You can also shuffle. View your library, only possible via this selection. You can view top cards. Let's say we want to see the top 4. For example, if you're playing a preordain and you want to scry something down or change the order, this one is the card, this one is the top card. So your mountain, I can show you. Here, it's the mountain. And let's say you want to scry those 2 down, and you want the galvanic blast on top. So you just switch it. So this one is the first, second, and so on. So now you have the galvanic blast on top. You can reveal your library to all players for example, if your opponent has any effect that searches your library for whatever. You can reveal top cards to all players, and you can always reveal the top card, also using Control N. For example, if you play a Cursor of Krufix. And you can also undo that by pressing Control N again. Then you have some options to play the top card face down. That's relevant for Oust or Teferi, the 5 mana Teferi for example, who puts card on the 3rd position of your library. So this one is your first card played face down, this one is your second, and now you would go ahead and if your opponent has the Stormchaser Mage, now you would like he's targeting the Stormchaser Mage with the Teferi ability, you would put it up here, and then you would put back the second card and the first card. You can put the top card on the bottom, of course. I'm rarely using this function. And you have some more here. What's also important, modifying creatures. So with Control and P you can modify the power and toughness. And if you right click on a creature, you can tap it. You can do that with the lens as well, by the way. So all the modifications you can do with the creature, you can do with the land as well. You can tap or untap it. You can simply double click to tap and untap. It's faster. If you go for toggle normal untapping, then this card will not untap when you press this button here. So untoggle it to be untapped normally again. Turn over would give the card to my opponent, but you can also just drag it and put it on the field of your opponent. Attach to card, so if this would be in an enchantment, I can... Okay, that's a bit special because it's a adventure card. Let's take the Snapcaster Mage. If this would be an aura, I can attach it and also unattach. You can draw an arrow from cards to other cards by keeping your left mouse button down, or you can also take this option here, draw an arrow, just to indicate your opponent. For example, if I have a Forkbolt here, which I play, that I want to target, let's do it like this, I want to target this and this one with the Forkbolt. So you can also use the chat, but this one is easier here. For the Brazen Borrower, you have a token, Petty Theft spell you're using. You can also, you should create an adventure token. It seems you can't. You can just set an annotation and write adventure. Put it aside so your opponent knows it's not on the battlefield directly. Here the power toughness change, you can do that with the Control P, it's easier and faster. Set annotation is what I showed over here. You can clone the card. If you want to get rid of it again, put it on the graveyard. You can move it to any other area, hand, graveyard, exile, whatever, but it's faster if you do it manually. And then here you can add counters to indicate that, for example, a Planeswalker has counters, or if a creature is modified in power and toughness via +1/+1 counters, for example, you usually say it has 2 counters on him, and then you modify the power and toughness as well, so your opponent knows, okay, there are 2 counters on him and now it's for 3. You could also change just power and toughness, but it's like a normal paper magic. You set the counters as well. You can create tokens via the Control+T shortcut, and if you want to go for any customized tokens. These days, Cockatrice has attached all necessary tokens of the cards to the cards themselves. So let me see if I find anything that produces a token. Yeah, here for example. Okay, that's not a token really, but you don't have to. This one is a good example. So the Delver, in case it would flip, you can just right click and then you go for the token attached to the insect and it will automatically flip, which is great. And also, if you want to create a token for Loyal Apprentice, for example, you don't have to go for Control T and search for the Topter. You can just right click token Topter 1/1 and that's fast enough to continue. The last thing which is relevant, of course, how to modify your life points, either by clicking Control L, manually entering any number, 12, or you can hit the left button of your mouse to higher your life count or the right one to lower it. Those 5 buttons indicate your mana in pool. So for example, I could tap the Siemens here to make 1 red. My opponent knows, okay, I have 1 red mana in pool. For example, relevant if you play any decks that play rituals, dark ritual or red rituals, whatever. And the counters here, this one is the storm counter if I'm right, or a second indicator for whatever. Usually players, if you play partners, we use these counters to indicate the additional costs. So if your commander died once and you have Ludovic down here, this one indicates that Ludovic costs 5 now. Chrome also, if he dies, I tick up this one to indicate that he's on 7 currently. And if you have a single commander, of course, you are only using one of those fields. If you want to concede a game or just go to the next game, you can either press F2 or go via this game tab and click on concede, yes. And then we'll get back to your spoiler of your cards and you can again go for ready to start and start a new game. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope that this introduction has helped you to get used to Cockatrice, and if you have any more questions, you can just hit it in the comments and maybe I can help you.